Hello everyone, and welcome back to our annual game show, Danganronpa Disappointments. I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. Get them all right, and you win $2,763. Are you... Oh, crap. Are you ready to hit it big today? Yeah, I'm so excited. I've been a big fan of Danganronpa for a while, so I just want to see how much I know. Well, that's excellent to hear! Here are the rules. You're given 20 seconds to answer each of the 3 questions relating to Danganronpa bullshit. Any questions? Oh, well, what happens if I, get it wrong? Oh, you die. Let's get right into the show. Question 1. What's Celeste's real name? Taiko Yasuhiro. Wow, that was quick. You sure know your stuff. Okay. Question 2. What important detail wasn't gone over in Danganronpa 2's 3rd chapter? Murder weapon. Correct again! You're good at this. Alright, I'm gonna say the next question if you don't mind. Why does the entire Danganronpa fanbase hate the 3rd chapter of each game? Wait, what? Hello everybody, and welcome back to the show where I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Of all the different parts of the Danganronpa community I've yet to cover, because I only make content on one fucking thing. Chapter 3 Syndrome is by far one I want to talk about the most, for so many reasons.
God damn it!
I just really want to talk about Tenka. It's one of the most infamous parts of the series, and honestly, something I think gets far more hate than it needs. With the recent flopping of my newest video on Danganronpa V3's 4th chapter, I thought I'd pivot just a tiny bit and talk about some other kind of Danganronpa content. Starting here. So, Danganronpa's 3rd chapters have a stigma around them that's anything but pleasant. I mean, with each subsequent game, the idea of 3rd chapter syndrome is emphasized more and more. Albeit, I really only find one of them to be particularly bad. Ever since the start of the first game with Celeste, there's been a ton of complaints about how piss easy it is to guess who could have done the murder. People felt like it was way too easy to tell. I mean, she's the one at the center of attention the entire time. She's the one who kept getting hurt. She's the one who was missing at some point. She's already suspicious as hell since whenever she got these fuck-ass vampire clothes. And she was like way too locked in at the start of the trial. Why are you pushing the blame onto this idiot so hard? You realize the guy you're blaming has an IQ exceeded by the shit I took while writing the script, right? This chapter ruins Celeste. What was I saying? Oh yeah. The chapter really ruins her facade as a mysterious ore farming goat. Because she goes from being this nonchalant queen to some pathetic tryhard in just an hour or 2. Oh yeah, and that's it. That's literally it. I mean, like, it was also just a stupid murder, I guess. Numbering the hammers could literally only be used to obfuscate the murder in which they were used. Like, come on, bro. Other than that, though, I really didn't see any other complaints. Yeah, guys, that's actually, I don't have any more complaints. That's probably why this chapter isn't actually as hated as much as the other 2. My thing is, though, I just don't understand why it's even considered to be bad. Like, sure, it's obvious, but that's it. I feel like there's so many more strengths than weaknesses. I mean, for starters, Hifumi dies, and Taka's weird anime transformation was annoying. So I'm glad he died, too. Having characters that nobody likes, mostly Hifumi, is always a plus. Because when you kill them off, everyone's celebrating. The best part about it is that he died in such a humiliating way, bro. Another thing I really enjoyed is how the motive was very entertaining. Not the motive itself, but rather the motive in conjunction to Celeste's personalities and internal motivations. It's the kind of idiosyncratic bullshit that I love about Danganronpa. It's silly. You can never take the silly out of Danganronpa. I think the motive to bait her out is genuinely awesome. Her dream is absolutely hilarious, and I love every bit of it. I find her stupid ass crash out to be particularly funny as well, since she genuinely loses her mind and loses her accent, like, completely. Not sure if it's really fitting for her character, but the voice acting is great, and I really don't have any complaints. It's pretty ironic for someone who talks all the time about adaptation, fail to adapt to the trial, and start crashing out to essentially dig her own grave. One of her final words was also quite interesting, as before her absolutely excellent execution, she talks about how with how much lying she does, it's not hard to lie to herself about how terrified she was. It's very interesting, and I love it. She would fit into V3 almost perfectly. All in all though, I really don't understand why people hate it. When it comes to this chapter, I'm just confused. It's not a bad chapter, and I get why it belongs in the quote-unquote third chapter syndrome, but come on guys, let's be real. When it comes to the second game's third chapter, I'm not gonna lie, I get it. I mean, to start off, having a fucking disease that makes Mikon evil is genuinely so ass. The despair disease seems like a cool idea, and it foreshadows COVID-19, but then they just mess with it and turn it into some garbage because the only despair it inflicts is on the person playing the game because of how bad it is. Oh my god, it's so bad. Oh, thank you. I get that for the purpose of foreshadowing and Lord. You want to drop a hint about what the characters were like? So I have to cringe. What they're like when they gain their memory. I can understand that. The problem is, this is just a terrible way to do it. It makes no sense to me why I had to be like, going to Hajime's room and sleeping with him at 3 a.m. challenge. Like, this entire chapter was nothing but bullshit fan service, and it makes me genuinely annoyed because Mikon's character is actually enjoyable to me. Learning why she is the way she is without a doubt one of the more uncomfortable parts of the game, and it's with good intention. To throw all of that away is pretty piss poor. God, it's so fucking stupid. Hey, and that's not even the worst part. What makes it even more terrible is the way they decide to dispose of her. But we'll get there when we get there. Beyond the motive, the murder might just straight up be impossible. It's insane to think Mikon could ever cover nearly as much ground as the game makes it seem. Everything about this chapter and trial is just right idea, horrible executions, horrible. A disease that makes Mikon, of all people, evil is genuinely one of the dumbest ways you could have handled this foreshadowing thing. One minor positive thing I did notice though is that it's funny how Mikon's only two friends were Ibuki and, ironically, Hyoko. You can see this from watching the anime, but also from Chapter 2's Twilight Syndrome, blah blah. They're literally together when the body's discovered. It's a really sad parallel, but it's also probably why she killed them. Considering being a remnant of despair means that you love despair, and it only makes sense that in her crazy state she'd kill the only two remaining people she considered friends. Don't we know another guy who did that? But anyways, another thing that's pretty divisive is Hyoko getting her development cut off. Like, completely. I'll talk about this when the time comes in full detail, but what I'll say conclusively is that I don't think it's as serious as it needs to be. There's a reason why they show Hyoko to you all grown up. There's a reason that they chose Hyoko to be the one that's so immature. To show what kind of person she could have been. It's really sad for someone to have their arc cut short right when they were just starting to ease up on her own principles and trust others. It's ironic, really, because the entire game she goes on and on about how you should never trust others and everyone should stop being so goofy and be more independent. Only for her to suffer the exact same fate as those prior did. You want to know why? Because she let her principles slip in an effort to change and grow. She trusted Sonia, ultimately resulting in her death, albeit indirectly. More details, okay. So if I upload like monthly, then maybe half a year, maybe less. But anyways, Ibuki is even deeper. She got killed in the music venue. And she's the ultimate, what now? That's right. Holy shit. The ultimate fashionista. Wait, no. Pianist? What would be a better way to foreshadow the remnant arc? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that, yeah, this ain't it. Straight ass. To top it all off, her execution is just awful. Like, genuinely the worst in this series, except for one frame. Skip. Let's move on. Blah, 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 blah.
Another suspect? Who?
Alright, now I've already done a very in-depth review on this chapter, and why I think it's not nearly as bad as people think. As a matter of fact, I think it's pretty solid. I'm probably just going to recycle a lot of the things I said in that video, since my views probably won't ever change regarding this chapter. First off, most of this chapter is actually really fun, and the only thing that really falls flat for me is the daily life, the missed potential for 2 killers, and Kyo's weird-ass motive. The rest is honestly fine. I feel like the victims served a very significant purpose and had great themes surrounding them, which reiterate the central ideas of V3 in its entirety as well. The culprit is an absolute tweaker, which is really nice to see, and the trial is coherent and fun to solve. This trial's goal is to discover Angie's murder, but they failed to do that very quickly, so they switched to Tenko's murder, then used the information found from her murder to wrap up Angie's murder. I think it works well. The dialogue is well written, and the characters are a whole lot more fun than the last 2 games, even though I'm pretty sad about Tenko and Angie since they were 2 of the more enjoyable characters for me. They, much like Danganronpa 2, represented a lot of parallels which I think Danganronpa tends to handle really well, regardless of the garbage surrounding it. One thing that every single Chapter 3 seems to suffer with is its tendency for the culprit to be obvious in almost every single scenario. There's no exception here, as people could tell Kyo was the culprit just from the events of the daily life alone. A creepy atmosphere with a weird off-putting music, bringing people back from the dead, a fucking seance? Who else could have it possibly been? Absolutely insane stuff. I feel like in this case, they just tried to twist it in a way to entertain the idea of 2 killers, only to double backtrack and make it only 1. Which honestly, believe it or not, weakened it for me. Wow. I feel like they tried to double pump fake us, but we're all too slow and too annoyed with the chaos in this chapter to be faked out by the reveal in the first place. Like, of course there's only 1 killer. We've been dealing with this shit for 3 games now. Or, alternatively, they're just fucking stupid and made the culprit obvious again for literally no reason. All in all though, I genuinely find this chapter to be pretty solid, and if you want to hear me talk about it in more depth, then go watch my chapter 3 review I made. It took a long time. It's good. I promise. The execution is also fire. It's one of the best ones in the series. It's so over the top in the most absolute perfect way possible. I can't imagine this trial being hated. It's just so weird to me. But hey, it is what it is. It falls for some of the same typical Chapter 3 pitfalls as its ancestors, but just in its own way. Thankfully, it's bearable, and honestly not nearly as bad as people make it out to seem. But to summarize, honestly, I really don't understand the whole idea of Chapter 3 syndrome. I know that Danganronpa 2 Chapter 3 is absolute horseshit, and no one should ever have to play that, even if they were tortured. That being said, the other 2 are not nearly as bad as people think. I feel like people rip on V3 just to rip on it because of the ending, and because, you know, who fucking knows. But for Danganronpa 1, I think a lot of people agree that it's not nearly as bad as other people think. A lot of people think it's the best one in the Chapter 3 Syndrome trilogy, which is completely fair to say, which in and of itself tells us that it's really not that bad of a chapter. So I'll never really understand the Chapter 3 Syndrome, but I do kind of get where people are coming from with like 1 or 2 takes. With that being said though, Chapter 3 Syndrome is without a doubt a Danganronpa disappointment, and hopefully I'll be able to find some more later, because God knows that Chapter 3 Syndrome is not the worst part of these games, by far. But, I mean, leave your opinions in the comments below. I'm very happy to read any opinions that you guys have, because I know I have some hot takes when it comes to this series. So, I'm really excited to see your thoughts on this one, and I'll see you guys next time for either a tier list or Danganronpa V3 Chapter 5. Who knows? See you then.